This morning, it's my privilege to introduce our speaker. And you know, it's Mother's Day, and usually Mother's Day is all about mom, right? I know for my wife, I want to give her the day off, and I want to treat her well, and I want to take care of the kids, and I want to be there for her. Well, this morning, Becca's going to be coming, and she's going to be sharing with us. And how many of you know when you're getting ready to preach to an audience like this, you don't get to take the morning off, right? Becca didn't take the morning off. She didn't phone it in on Mother's Day, right? That's not a bad thing to do that. We need to take Mother's Day off. Becca's coming up here in a moment, and she's got a great word from God. And here's one of the things I love about Pastor Dave and Becca. They love this community, and they love this church, and they love it wholeheartedly. Amen. We can celebrate that. And I know Becca would not rather be any other place than here in the house of God getting ready to give this word. Will you stand to your feet and help me welcome Becca Crosby this morning? Come on, put your hands together.
Thanks, Andy. Oh, man. You guys. Oh, stop it. The song made me cry. You guys are making me cry. I'm a hot mess up here. It's terrible. I always hope I'm not going to cry. Honestly, just forget it. It's every Sunday morning. Big weepy baby. But it's all right. You guys love me anyways. Thank you guys so much. We do. It is the joy of our life to be here serving you guys, being a part of this church now over 15 years, and which I can't even believe. And just my heart is so full to have all of you guys here and to be able to honor moms on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. You guys look amazing. And it is so fun being able to honor you guys. We have more fun stuff to honor you even after the service. We want you guys to feel super special. So I hope you guys have great plans today to just honor your moms and treat your guys, all the moms, treat yourselves well today. You deserve it. But I do have a word for you guys today. It's really not just for moms, it's for everybody. It's for moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teenagers, kids, everybody. So hopefully you all are going to enjoy that today. This message, this word that I received was really connected to the second half of our trip to Europe in Paris. That's where I received this inspiration from God to share with you guys. But first, I want to thank you guys for letting us go to Europe for 2 weeks. That was like, there's no words to describe. It was so magical. Here's what our trip kind of looked like. Now, the first part, we went to this conference, amazing. It's incredible. Got to meet some of the most amazing pastors and leaders from all over Europe and just connected with so many cool people. But then we went on to London, and I think we have some pictures too. We went to London first, and really, this is what we did. We kind of had a list of what we wanted to do, but then we said, you know what? Let's just get up every morning, go to a local cafe, meet some local people, ask them what we should do, and just do that. And that's exactly what we did. And I'm telling you, every day was so perfect. We just found things that we would have never known about, that just not the touristy stuff, cool restaurants and little hidden museums that no one really knows about, and just got to have the most amazing experience. But I know a lot of you guys follow us on Facebook, so you've seen a lot of the pictures, but I had just a couple pictures to share with you. I think they were gonna throw those up there. I'm just looking at myself right now. It's kind of awkward. It's really weird, like evaluating yourself on the video. Let's get that picture up there. There we go. Well, that's a picture of my kids and my family. That's a good picture. I love that picture. All right, well, we have some pictures of Europe. Maybe they'll find those. But anyway, oh, there it is. Awesome. St. Paul's Cathedral in London was amazing. Beautiful museum. Love that. So incredible. And we hit it right in London. Normally it's like rainy and foggy. It was sunny and warm the whole time we were there. I was like, man, God is smiling upon us. Thank you, Lord. And then the next picture we have was at Notre Dame in Paris. And we actually went to a lot of churches. That was pretty fun. Kind of Dave's thing, you know. So he's like, let's go. I don't know. So, you know what? I have a really funny story. You know what happened? We were in this one church. I mean, Dave's going to probably be like, do not tell that story. We were in this one Catholic church, and it was real tiny, and most of them had a ton of people. There's hardly anybody there. And so we were off to the side, and it had like a sign that said, don't go on the stage. And Dave's like, all right, Becca, stand over behind the wall. And really quick, I'm going to jump up behind the pulpit, take my picture, and then jump down. So he totally did it like super fast. Nobody said anything. Nobody saw anything. So I don't know. Dave's probably going to be mad that I told this story. But anyway, so we had so much fun. That cathedral was amazing. Oh, here was another one. We went to a museum. It was an Egyptian museum where it had the mummification cat mummified cats, however you say that. And Dave is thoroughly grossed out. So I had to show you that because I know you guys know how much Dave loves cats. He was like, that is so gross. You know, I hate cats in life. Like, why would I want them in my afterlife? I'm going to mummify them and bury them with me. He's like, gross me out. But my favorite, probably one of my favorite things that we did was we went to the Louvre. And that place was just wow. It used to be a castle back when they had the whole kings and queens government thing in Paris. That didn't sound very intellectual, but anyways, and but now it's, you know, they no longer have that. They have a government set up very much like ours with the president. But and it was kind of cool. The president of Paris was here in the States while we were there, so it was kind of funny. But so this is the Louvre. I know I get off track, sorry. And that big glass triangle, that's where you go in, and you actually go underground, and then there's just these tunnels and paths to all the different exhibits, and it was just unbelievable, overwhelming. The amount of art in this museum was phenomenal. I mean, Renoir, Van Gogh, Gauguin, Monet, Picasso, like just on and on, like all the greatest artists in this museum, and you could spend a whole week hanging out there and still not see it all. It was truly amazing. And if you love art, you would just be in heaven. And I realized something about myself. While I appreciate art, very fun to look at, very interesting, I'm kind of more of a hangout at a cafe, drink coffee, talk kind of girl, because holy smokes, it was like visual overload. I mean, it's just wall after wall, room after room. I definitely needed a nap afterwards. We're like halfway through and I'm yawning. I'm like, this is so disrespectful to the art. I need to go take a nap. But it was really incredible. And of course, the most famous picture in the Louvre, Dave is like, that has to be our first thing we go and see. The Da Vinci Mona Lisa, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. He's very excited. So we went on a hunt for that. It took us a little bit to find it, but then we did finally find the Mona Lisa. And I'm standing there and I'm looking at her brown eyes through the bulletproof glass. I mean, because she is the most valuable painting in the entire world. So they have her in bulletproof glass. And you can see like the colors are very kind of muted, a little drab, a little plain, right? And I mean, we had just, and it's much smaller than I expected. It's only 2.5 feet by 2 feet. It's kind of little in comparison to a lot of the murals and paintings we had just walked past by the greatest artists in the world, exquisite, spectacular. And then we come to the Mona Lisa. And I'm sitting there and it hits me, so why is she the most famous painting of all the paintings? And I'm thinking this, like, what? Like, why is she the biggest deal ever? Like, what makes her so special? And then I look at Dave and he leans over and goes, so why is she the most... He asked exactly the same question. And so I was like, I don't know, go ask the lady over there. He's like, I'm not going to ask her. I'm not going to look like an idiot. You go ask her. So we're like arguing, and then neither of us went to ask. But it was so funny. But I have, of course, revealed to you how little I know about art, because the Mona Lisa is the most valuable, most famous painting in the world. The French government actually owns her, and they're very gracious to let the rest of the world come and be able to visit her and see her. She's so priceless. They don't even have her insured because there's no way to actually put a price on how to insure her. That's how valuable she is. She's the most famous painting in the Western history. And you know, at first glance, with an untrained eye, you don't really see or appreciate her value if you don't know how to look for that. And it kind of hit me that's sometimes how we view motherhood, right? With an untrained eye, we don't always see the value. And like the Mona Lisa, who seems very ordinary and not very exciting, motherhood can feel like that, very ordinary and not very exciting. And it's the mundane, it's the daily, it's the drab, it's the things that we just do day in and day out, like doing our laundry and cleaning up and fixing meals and cleaning up and tucking people in bed and cleaning up and and helping people with homework and cleaning up, right? The cleaning up never ends. And do you guys ever, like, I think this as a mom sometimes while I'm doing the dishes, why am I bothering? I'm gonna have to do them again in like an hour, you know? It's just the constant mundane, and we don't always see the value in what we do. We don't always see the value in who we are. And here, you know what God says about you as mothers and as motherhood? You are a work of art. You're priceless. You are so valuable. You can't even put a price on who you are and what you do. And the things that you do are so valuable. You know what Ephesians 2:10 says? God says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do all the good things he planned for us long ago." You see, this message isn't just for moms. This is for everybody. He created each and every one of us a masterpiece. We're picture perfect. We're priceless. We are so valuable. And you know, Leonardo da Vinci, he's one of the greatest artists that ever existed, right? But he's not the greatest artist. God is. God created Leonardo da Vinci. He created the greatest artist. God, our creator, he's the greatest artist that ever lived and still lives, and he is your creator. You were created a masterpiece by the greatest artist of all times. And you know, sometimes we don't feel like a masterpiece, right? Sometimes we don't act like the masterpiece that we're made to be. But we are a masterpiece. Did you guys ever take an art appreciation class? I know I took one in college. I'm pretty sure I slept through that class. That's probably why I did not really understand the value of the Mona Lisa when I stood in front of her. So yeah, it's kind of sad. But I thought it would be really fun. Well, here, first of all, let me tell you what an art appreciation class is, right? You guys know this. It's so that you can understand the artist and that you can understand the value and the purpose behind the art that the artist created, right? So I thought it would be really fun for us to do not an art appreciation class, but a people appreciation class. So class, please sit up. I'm Miss Becca, your teacher. This is People Appreciation 101. I have a couple of rules for my class. No sleeping. Please behave better than I did in my art appreciation class. And please take notes. If you take them on your phone, make sure your phone is off. No using phones in my class. Welcome to our class, and here's what we're going to learn today. We're going to learn how to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in the people around us and in ourselves. I have a few thoughts on how to bring out that picture-perfect masterpiece in the people around us and how to see ourselves and others how God sees us for the value that we are. So my first thought to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in others is you need to embrace the mystery. People are a mystery, right? I know my husband, sometimes he's a mystery to me. My kids are a mystery. I know sometimes I'm a mystery to him. It's a big mystery to him why I'm so slow. I know he kind of struggles with that. I'll tell you why I'm so slow, because while he's in the car waiting to go, I'm in the house trying to get everything ready for us to go, but it's still a mystery to him. He can't figure it out why I'm so slow. It's also a mystery to him why most of the cars we've owned, I've had an accident. I don't know. It's a mystery to him, one that just can't be solved. Sometimes he's a mystery to me, like why he continues to leave the wet towel on the bed after 20 years of me telling him how disgusting that is. It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me why I tell my kids pretty much every day, put your shoes away, put your backpack away, hang up your jacket. And what do they do when they come running in from school? Dump all their stuff on the kitchen floor and run off. Wait, why do I have to repeat myself every day? It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me why we can't seem to put the toilet seat down. It takes one extra second. It's a mystery, right? You guys have those mysteries in your life that you just can't figure out. Here's the thing, we are not going to figure out everything about the people that we love and the people that are around us. I'm just not going to understand everything about my husband, everything about my kids, everything about my coworkers. It's impossible. And instead of being frustrated and just so frustrated with people, what we can begin to do is embrace the mystery. You know, there's a lot of mystery in the Mona Lisa. We don't really know who she is. We don't know a lot about her. Did you know that Leonardo da Vinci did not name her the Mona Lisa? He actually named her the Portrait of a Certain Woman. Really, Leonardo? Like, you're the most creative, talented guy, and that's the most creative name you could come up with? The Portrait of a Certain Woman. I don't know, it's kind of funny to me. But 31 years later, Leonardo da Vinci, he had a biographer, Vasari, who actually identified the woman that he had painted as her name as Lisa. And she was apparently a wife of a wealthy Florentine businessman. That's really all we know about her. But Mona in Italian means madam. So he identified her as Madam Lisa, thus her name, Mona Lisa. So it's kind of interesting, right? And so, but there's a lot of mystery behind this woman. We don't really know what she was like. We don't really know what she was thinking while she was being painted. There's a lot of mystery in her smile. This has been something that has been discussed throughout history. What is the emotion that is behind her smile? And actually, it's kind of interesting because the University of Amsterdam, they have this computer program where they can figure out what the emotions are of people through their expression. So they took the painting, they ran it through the program to try to figure out what emotions was she feeling by the expression on her face. And this is what they came up with. Her smile indicates 83% happy, 9% disgust, 6% fearful, 2% angry, and 1% neutral. So I'm pretty sure every mom in this place has felt like that at one point, right? 83% happy, 9% disgust, or perhaps 83% disgust, 9% happy. I've been there. I feel you. I know we all have. But we don't really know what this woman was like. We don't know a lot about her. And it's like people in our life. There's so much that we don't know, that we don't understand. Have you ever said, I just don't understand him? I don't understand her. Why does she do that? Why does he think like that? What is it that makes them tick? And these are questions that we ask because we are complex, unique masterpieces that God has created. Some are a little more unique than others, right? You guys know a few of those. But but we are masterpieces. We're so different. And here's the thing, how you embrace the mystery is that you accept one another. Accept each other for your differences. It's our differences that makes our world so beautiful and so interesting. How we all look different and act different and think different. It's a beautiful thing. And if we can learn to accept one another instead of being frustrated with one another, we will add so much more value to each other in that way. Now, when I say accept one another, I'm not necessarily saying that you have to accept their behavior. There may be things in the people in your life that they really need to change. I'm not saying that, but you can accept them for who they are, for the masterpiece that God created them to be. It's important that we accept one another for the uniqueness that we have. If you're nagging them and griping at them and complaining at them, there's no change that's going to come from that. The person will not feel valued. They will not listen. You will lose the influence that you have in their life if that's your approach. But if you accept them and you love them, they will feel valued and you will have far more influence in a person's life. See, only God can truly change people, but we can love and accept them and make them feel valued so that we can begin to pour good stuff into their life. Even if they're not living like the masterpiece they were created to be, you can still accept and love them. 1 Peter 3 says, similarly, you husbands should try to understand the wives you live with. See, the command isn't to understand your wives. You're never going to understand them. Wives, you're never going to understand your husbands. It would take a lifetime to figure that out. But we're called to try. We have to at least try to understand where the person's coming from, try to understand how they're feeling. I know for Dave and I, we don't always understand each other, but when I feel like at least he's trying, it makes me feel valued. It makes me feel important to him. It makes me feel connected to him, and vice versa. When I at least try to understand where he's coming from, he feels valued. He feels connected to me. He feels important in my life. And that's how relationships are. When you try, when you accept a person, you make them feel valued, and then they want to be around you. Then you have influence in your life, in your kids' lives. Just try to understand and make sure that you're accepting them. 1 Peter 3:7b, the second half of that verse says, if you don't try, your prayers won't be answered. You see, if we try to understand people, there's room for our prayers to be answered because then God opens up, like I said, and the ability to influence them because they feel valued by us. So at least try. Let me say this too. Sometimes there's people in our life we just don't understand. Have you ever felt that way? Your boss, your spouse, your kids, your friends, your neighbors. And you know what the Bible says? If you don't understand something, ask God for wisdom. He'll give it to you freely. James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives generously to all. Here's what you do when you don't understand somebody. You say, God, I don't understand this person. They are frustrating me, and I need wisdom. I need wisdom to understand where they're coming from. I need wisdom to understand who they are as a person. And Lord, help me to accept them. Help me to see them for the masterpiece that they are and to value them the way you value them and to see them the way you see them. And if you approach that, God will do that for you, and you will be able to approach the people in your life so differently. So it's important that we value and that we accept and appreciate and try to understand the people around us. So the first thing you need to do to bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in others is to embrace the mystery. The second thing we need to do is raise the value. See, the Mona Lisa, she continues to be more and more valuable each year because more and more people go and appreciate her. So her value just continues to increase. So I recently came across a book called How Full Is Your Bucket, written by Tom Rath and Don Clifton. And this was a really interesting book. In the book, it indicates that we actually have 20,000 interactions with the people around us every single day. Isn't that mind-blowing? 20,000 interactions. That's a lot of interactions. Some are positive, some are negative. And the positive ones build us up, and oftentimes the negative ones tear us down. And this book talks about how we each have an invisible bucket. And we are at our best when our bucket is full. And the positive interactions fill our bucket up. But we're at our worst when our bucket is empty. Those negative things in life that just drain our bucket out. And then we have nothing to give and we're empty. So along with the invisible bucket, we also have an invisible dipper. And this dipper either dips out of the interaction and fills our bucket up, or it dips from our bucket and takes out. And it can, and the dipper can be to empty our bucket at times. So the negative interactions they take from our bucket, the positive interactions fill us up. And here's what we need to be careful about, is that we need to be careful that we don't have a large number of bucket dippers in our lives and very few people filling our bucket. Do you guys have any bucket dippers in your life? Do you know any people like that? They're kind of draining, miserable people to be around. We need to make sure that we also have people in our life that are filling our buckets up. And here's the interesting thing too. When you have a positive interaction, like if I choose to have a positive interaction with somebody, I'm not only filling their bucket up, I also fill my bucket up through that interaction. And the Bible talks about this. Galatians 6:7, the person who plants selfishness, ignoring the needs of others, harvests a crop of weeds. All he'll have to show for in his life are weeds. See, the choices, the interaction that we have with people, it makes a difference. The interaction we have with our kids, our husbands, our coworkers, we can either plant weeds, because then weeds will be what we get, or we can have positive interaction and fill their buckets up. John Gottman, he did this study on positive-negative ratio interaction, and it was mostly about marriage, but really relates to any sort of relationship. And he found that when the positive to negative interaction, and the positive is greater than the negative, then the marriage is often healthier, happier, much more productive, and you're growing. But when the negative was more than the positive, then it can really put a marriage into crisis. And he found through his study that the 5-to-1 ratio is the ideal ratio. 5 positive to 1 negative. These seem to be the marriages that were the healthiest, the happiest, and growing the best. But then on the flip side, the marriages where he noticed 2 positive to 1 negative, those marriages were really struggling, having a very difficult time. And then the marriages that had 10 negative to 1 positive, those were the marriages that were in complete crisis. You see, what we plant into the relationship matters. If you plant weeds into your marriage, if you're tearing your husband or your wife down, if you're not honoring them and loving them, you know what you're doing? In return, you're tearing yourself down. It matters what we do. We need to pour into people so that our bucket will be filled as well. If we're not pouring into other people, our bucket is going to go dry. It's important that we're filling other people's buckets up. We need to encourage your husband, encourage your wife, encourage your kids. Love the people around you. Fill their buckets up. So how do I raise the value of the people in my life? The first thing you need to stop doing is stop bucket dipping. Stop taking out of their bucket and start putting in. Encourage them, love them, build people up. Fill up their buckets. This is so important because we want to build people up, encourage them, fill their buckets up so that we can have influence in their lives. Now, some of you might be sitting there saying, what if I'm married to a bucket dipper? What do I do? What if I'm raising a bucket dipper? They are sucking the life out of me. How do I deal with this person in my life? Well, first of all, go to God in prayer because God can do things in people's lives far more than we could ever do. But the other thing you can do so that, and we've talked about this some, but that you can begin to have influence and begin to see a person change is when you're filling their bucket up. If you're encouraging a person and loving on them and pouring good stuff into them, just watch their spirit rise. Watch their confidence rise. They will have a far greater listening ear to what you have to say because you're pouring good stuff into them. Nagging them, griping at them, complaining at them, it is not going to change them. It's just going to fall on deaf ears. They're going to shut you out. But if you're pouring good stuff into their life, they will be ready to receive what you have to say that could really be life-changing moments. Proverbs 12:8 says, thoughtless words can wound as deeply as any sword, but wise spoken words can heal. So if you're taking notes, underline that thoughtless words part. We need to think about the interactions that we're having with the people around us. We need to stop and ask ourselves, am I filling their bucket? Am I encouraging them? Am I pouring good stuff into them, or am I taking away from them? Was that a positive interaction or a negative interaction? Am I being a bucket dipper? And if the answer is yes, I'm being a bucket dipper, then I need to stop being a bucket dipper. I need to be conscious about the interaction I have with the people around me. The second thing you need to do is you need to find a bucket brigade. So to be able to pour into other people, to have something to give, and to have our buckets full so that we can encourage other people, we need to have people in our life that are filling our buckets as well, right? And that's why it's so important that you're a part of a positive, healthy, growing church like Community Church. And if you don't have a church home, we would love for you to make Community Church your home. I love our church. I think, I'm a little partial, but I think we have probably just the most awesome church ever. You guys, our volunteers, our staff, I want to just thank you guys so much. They work so hard to make sure that every single person that walks through that door feels welcomed and encouraged and a part of things here. And I know this because I see it all the time in the lobby. I hear story after story. You need to be a part of a local church so that your bucket is being filled, so you're being encouraged, so that you're growing, so you have something to give as you go into your week to the people around you. Another great way to fill your bucket is to get into a community group. A community group is a great place because it's a group of people that comes together and they're doing life together, praying for each other, encouraging each other, because sometimes we just go through really tough stuff. I don't even have to tell you guys that. You know that. You may be going through that right now. And a community group will help you during those times to increase your faith, to pray together, to fill your bucket up so that when you go home, you have something to give your kids, have something to give your husband, you have something to give to the people at work. So if you're not in a community group, please let us know. We want to get you in a community group. We want to see you in Healthy Church, growing and filling your bucket in those things so you can go out into the world and have something to give. So to bring the picture-perfect masterpiece out in others, we first need to embrace the mystery. Second, we need to raise the value. And third, we need to be real. This is really important. You know why the Mona Lisa is so valuable? It's because she's real. She's an authentic Leonardo da Vinci. She's not a fake. She's not a forgery. She's the real deal. That's why she is so valuable And if you want your relationships to be of value, if you want to bring out that picture perfect masterpiece in other people, you need to be real with them. You need to be honest with them. It is important to encourage and to pour good stuff into the people around you, but it's also important to be honest. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, then you need to be honest about that. But it also matters how you approach that. You know, you can do it without tearing them down. You can do it without hurting them. You can go to them and say, I love you. I'm on your team. I want to be honest with you. I want to be real about this situation with you because I want the best for you. I want the best for us. And I value you so much. I love you so much that I'm willing to come and talk to you, because if I didn't talk to you, it would mean that I don't love you and I don't value you. And so we need to be honest. We need to be real. We need to be genuine in our interaction with the people around us. Proverbs 24:26 says, an honest answer is a sign of true friendship. You know, I said earlier, we can't change people, and it's true. Only God can do that, but we can have influence in people's lives, right? We can bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in them. We can add value to them. We can make them feel accepted, encouraged, and loved. So when you do hit those problems and you do hit those moments where you have to have those honest moments, they're going to be far more ready to receive that because they're going to know you have their best interests at heart. In 1911, the Mona Lisa was stolen. I don't know if you guys know that. For 2 years, she was missing. Here's the interesting thing. More people came to see the blank wall that the Mona Lisa hung on, used to hang on because she wasn't there anymore. More people came in those 2 years than in the previous 2 years when she was on the wall. And isn't it so true of how we are in human nature? We often don't really value things until they're no longer in our lives. And I really want to challenge you guys today, as we've talked so much about bringing out that picture-perfect masterpiece in the people around us. Make sure that you're valuing the people today. Don't wait until it's too late. We're only guaranteed today, right? The Bible says we have no guarantees for tomorrow. Make sure you tell the people around you how much you love them, how much they mean to you. And I would also challenge you, maybe in these relationships, and I know sometimes we hurt each other, we don't mean to, but we do, and then there can be unforgiveness in our hearts. If you have somebody you need to forgive today, I would challenge you, do that today. Don't waste another day. Don't wait another minute. Don't wait until it's too late. Value and love and forgive today. Here's the thing, when we don't forgive, what happens is bitterness begins to root in our hearts. And you know what bitterness does? It puts a hole in your bucket. And no matter how much you fill that bucket, bitterness will just drain your bucket right out. It's draining, it's exhausting, and it causes you to have nothing to give to the people around you. So guys, I would just challenge you guys, value the people around you today. Take care of those things today. Forgive, love. Don't let bitterness get in there. So the last 20 minutes or so, I've been talking about how we bring out the picture-perfect masterpiece in the people around us. We do that by embracing the mystery, raising the value, and by being real. But right now I want to close and talk to you and help you see the masterpiece in the mirror. I want you to see the picture-perfect masterpiece in yourself. You know, if you're anything like me, the enemy sometimes can get in your head, right? And could cause you to not value yourself for what you're really worth. He can begin to cause you to believe lies about yourself. And here's the thing, you guys, do you even know how valuable you are? Do you even know how much you're worth? Well, the other day, I went over to the store, and I bought this canvas and this paintbrush. Together, they would cost about $12. And if I painted a lovely picture on here, how much do you think that painting would be worth? Wow. Thanks. It would be free. Did he say free? Yeah. It just dawned on me what he actually said. I was like, wait, computing. He said free. Yeah, you're probably right. It would be free. That's even better than my point. That's awesome. So yeah, I was going to say it'd be worth $12, but it might be worth less than $12 if I painted. That's so awesome. I love it. But if you put this canvas and this paintbrush in Leonardo da Vinci's hands and he painted a beautiful portrait, how much would it be worth? It would be priceless, right? It would be worth millions of dollars. All right. Then I bought this basketball for $18, which I thought was a little expensive for a basketball, but whatever. So, so in my hands, how much is this basketball worth? $18. But you put this in LeBron James's hands, guess how much it's worth? $33 million a year. That's how much this basketball, that's how much this basketball is worth. Here's my point, is that it matters whose hands you're in. Your value, the worth of your, if you want to know the worth of your masterpiece, it's whose hands are you in. See, I can't bring out the full potential of that paintbrush or that basketball. My hands are the wrong hands. I don't have the capability to do that. And some of you today, you've put yourself in the wrong hands, and you've lost sight of your value. You've lost sight of the masterpiece that God has created you to be. And if I could just leave you with anything today, my prayer is that you would put yourself back in the Master's hands, because He will bring out in you the potential and the purpose that you were created to live for, far greater than you could ever imagine, far beyond what you could ever do for yourself. You don't have to continue living your life in the wrong hands. You can put yourself back in the Creator's hands and become the masterpiece that He created you to be. Let's pray. Oh, Jesus. I'm so grateful for your grace and your forgiveness. You're a God of so many chances, oh God, and all you desire is for us to put ourselves back in your hands so that you can bring about the value and the purpose that we were created to be, God. Lord, I pray right now, if there's anybody in this place, that they're realizing in this moment that they've been in the wrong hands for far too long, and they don't want that anymore. They want to be valuable. They want purpose. They want to live out that masterpiece that you've created them to be. Lord, I pray right now for each and every one of us. Forgive us for putting ourselves in the wrong hands. Forgive us for trying to do things on our own. Oh God, thank you that you accept us with open arms, that you have beautiful plans for us if we will trust you and surrender our lives to you. Lord, I pray that each person right now in this room will step out in faith and that they will surrender themselves wholeheartedly to you so that they can reach their full potential and go beyond their imagination in this life. In your name we pray. Amen.